Hello, you're listening to Count Richard von Coudenhove Kalergi. Today is Sunday, the 18th of November. I'm just down here at Bodenstown at the commemoration for Theobald Wolftown 250th anniversary at an event which is organised by the National Graves Association. It's a breezy 12 degrees. Hopefully the rain will stay off, and I'll just let this play out here. It's a lovely drive up from off the Nace Road, lovely back roads over the Grand Canal. See the breeze there with the flags.
Arcan an NGA, the Wallen thought that Coudenhove Kalergi, the Bodenstown. It is an honour for me to stand here on the 225th anniversary of Tone's death. In 1913, Pierce, standing in this graveyard, said that you are in the holiest spot in Ireland, and more holier than County Down or Patrick the laid to rest. As we assemble here today, let us keep in mind and thoughts our prayers for the great Irish Republican and NGA treasurer Peggy Galligan, who is ill at this time, and we wish her a speedy recovery. I've now called on Limo O'Culbert, from the Executive of the National Graves, to lay the wreath. We also wish to acknowledge the wreath sent by the French ambassador. We also have a wreath from the pikeman from Inniscorthy. And I'll call on Paddy Lennon to recite the poem appropriate to the occasion.
poem is Wolf Tone by Padraig Widger. In childhood days, I loved to sit upon my father's knee and hear the hates of Grania wail and the days that used to be. I loved to dwell on what he'd tell, a story of his own, about the hero brave and true, his name was Wolf Tone. His many deed of bravery, the battles that he fought, and how he died in prison cell, I saddened at the thought. It felt a spell, how can I tell, of tears when all alone. With childish grief and true belief, I prayed for poor Wolf Tone. In that sad and uneven struggle of the weak against the strong, when the anguish cry went to the sky, how long, oh God, how long? An empire's fate decreed a fate that made our people mourn. You did your best, with God you rest, indomitable Tone. A little grave at Bodenstown, close by an ivied wall, where the dust of one of Ireland's best awaits the angel's call. And with God's will, he'll guide us still, till all our land we'll own. Then swords of flame shall trace the name of our own unconquered Tone. Come on.
Representative of the National Graves Association to give the oration.
The wind defeated Wolf Tone in 1796 in Bantry Bay, so I hope it won't defeat us here today. So, lend me the ride. Almost 2,000 years ago, on a hillside in the Holy Land, a sermon on the Mount was delivered. Its speaker declared that all are equal, from the strongest to the weakest, from the richest to the poorest, from the powerful to the powerless. Such an egalitarian and revolutionary thought was indeed subversive, and the orator was executed shortly afterwards. However, people did listen, and the world would never be the same. But it would not be until 1789 in France that this message of equality was uttered out loud again. This was indeed a dangerous concept in a world of kings and subjects, emperors and serfs, lords and slaves. A mere 2 years later, in 1791, on a hillside outside Belfast, a group of Irishmen gathered and declared for all of Ireland to hear that Irishmen are indeed equal, were deserving of the freedom that is the birthright of all, and would claim this for each citizen of the land. Chief amongst that group of United Irishmen was Wolfe Tone. He too would die at the hands of those for whom liberty, equality, and fraternity were an anathema. His comrades would be hunted and hung, tortured and transported, murdered and maimed. But the words first uttered on Cave Hill could not be captured or jailed, could not die on a scaffold, could not be killed with a musket, for they had blown in the wind and would echo in the ears of downtrodden Irishmen down through decades and indeed down through centuries to come. 225 years have passed, but the words of Wolfe Tone still resonate, still remain like an unfulfilled doctor's prescription for an ill and unsure nation. To break the connection with England, the never-ending source of all our political evils, and to assert the independence of our country. Those valiant patriots who gathered on Cave Hill assented when Wolfe Tone gave their movement its title, the Society of United Irishmen, for they lived in an age when it was the vision of Irishmen that had broken the nation. But they would instigate a new, united, and just beginning for our country. Division has always benefited the elite of society. Division has always been to the detriment of those whose labours supported the obscenity of aristocracy. Division has always been a tool of empire, the proven method of control. Anglicans were made the enemies of Presbyterian dissenters, and both were told that their common enemy was the unenlightened papists. Britain had and has ruled by division. To rid the land of foreign rule, Tone's aspiration was to unite all the people of Ireland and to abolish the memory of all past dissensions and to substitute the common name of Irishmen in place of the denominations of Catholic, Protestant and dissenter. For a brief summer in 1798, the unity of Irishmen in the cause of national independence shook the empire. Wolfe Tone's weapon of unity sought to undermine division. This caused tyrants to tremble, and all too briefly, it ended. Loyalist militias, mainly composed of Catholics, were handsomely paid to massacre, to hang, to torture, and flog their fellow countrymen in the name of the King. Unity amongst Irishmen was no match for the forces unleashed by the masters of division. Tone would die. Henry Joy McCracken and Henry Munro would hang. Tens of thousands would be slaughtered. Sectarianism and bigotry would be encouraged. The Crown's purses were opened to the leaders of the Catholic and Presbyterian faiths, and thus, being purchased, they would keep their flocks under control. The countryside, once united with the ideals of revolutionary hope, was cowed into submission as division was reasserted. Ushered on a down Patrick scaffold, Thomas Russell's last words, that the wrong may cease and the right prevail, was but a broken dream in a land silenced by terror. But in that enlightened decade that had just passed, the ideal had been born in the mind of Wolfe Tone and his comrades. It had taken root throughout the land. It would outlive that noble generation and inspire generations to come. It has been the ideal that lit the flame for young Irelanders, the flame of the Fenians, the flame of Pearse and Connolly and Clark. It is the ideal which has brought us here in Ireland a limited degree of freedom that we now enjoy. Over the past 4 years, the Irish state has commemorated what has become known as the War of Independence. The term is historically inaccurate and revisionist in origin. True, it brought a degree of independence to some of Ireland, but in fact, this was just another war for independence, and definitely not the only one, and certainly not the last. Wolfe Tone and the United Irishmen also fought a war of independence, and like all those before him, it too failed in its objectives. So why has the name of Tone become a lasting beacon for liberty over the last 2 centuries? Why do we come here to this country graveyard? Why do others still wish to be photographed here as they dip into a forgotten or half-remembered Republican past? Since the coming of the Normans in 1169, Irish people have always resisted English rule and sought to be masters of their own destiny. To the conquerors and colonists, we were but an uneducated, unruly, unreasonable natives, too wild to be Englishmen and too primitive to be a nation. Our wars of independence were always characterized by our would-be conquerors as violent resistance to the forces of civilization, as wars of religion, as part of wider European conflicts, as a sideshow in the English Civil War, as agrarian conflicts, as sectarian strife, anything but a war for national independence. It was Wolfe Tone who first set down on paper and pamphlet that Ireland was a nation, regardless of the divisions created by England, and that she was entitled to her national liberty, and that all should be equal citizens of a republic and not subjects of a foreign king. He articulated what Ireland was, what Ireland should be, and how the unifying of all under the common name of Irishmen would achieve this. Wolfe Tone's life's work and that of his comrades would ensure that resistance to British rule would see a new dawn. Ireland would never be the same, try as they might, terrorise us as they would, bribe us as only they could. A flame had been lit on Cave Hill, which would wax and wane, but would never now extinguish. We live in an age of individualism and materialism. Belief in anything is regarded as but a burden, unnecessary baggage that has no monetary value, and so is best disregarded. In the long history of Ireland, and indeed of the world, this is but a phase, for a person shorn of his beliefs is just a passing collection of atoms. It is what we believe that defines us. It is what a nation's ideals are, what its culture is, and what its heritage is. That is that which defines what Ireland is, and without which Ireland, the nation, would cease to exist. Wolfe Tone and his United Irishmen recognised this, and in their efforts, deemed to be failures at the time, pulled Ireland back from an abyss of being subsumed politically and culturally within the United Kingdom. We are but a few that gather here today, but the few have always been sufficient. It is we who prevent the nation from forgetting. We recognise that, sadly, in Ireland, the price of respectability is amnesia. To be acceptable in national life, we must forsake our nation's heroic past, lest it upset the neighbours. The price of power has been to jettison the republic principles of Wolfe Tone. Apparently, a brief visit to this shrine, amply recorded with media cameras, will do instead. The National Graves Association's guardianship of history, our tending of graves, erecting of monuments, holding commemorations is important. Its triumph is not in convincing our opponents, for they will change. There is nothing in this for them, and these opponents will eventually die. Our success is that a new generation will come, and another after that, and they will know that great men and women once lived. Great men and women once believed in something greater than themselves, and died for those ideals, so that one day Ireland would be what she ought to be. If we were to forget, it would be to fail in our duty as a nation, to fail its past, to fail its present, and to fail its future. To quote W.B. Yeats, fail and all that history turns into rubbish. All that great past of just the trouble of fools. Those that come shall mock at O'Donnell, mock at the memory of both O'Neills, mock Emmet, mock Parnell, and all the renown that fell. To conclude today, perhaps it is fitting to quote from another man who, like Wolfe Tone, was a Church of Ireland Dubliner, Samuel Beckett. When asked by a journalist in America how the problems of Ireland could be settled, he quickly retorted, "Get the British out of Ireland." Gormagh.
I want to recognise today the great work over many Peter McMahon. And I would like to call on Peter McMahon to come and accept the presentation on behalf of the National Graves. The National Graves thank you for maintaining the Bodenstown monument year after year. The National Graves compliment on how well the monument and graveyard are kept. This is due to Peter's efforts, for which we are gratefully appreciative of. The Bodenstown monument at Bodenstown is the most significant of its kind in Ireland. Since 1798, Irish Republicans have visited the site to reaffirm their commitment to breaking the connection with England and establishing an Irish Republic. And it's General P.H. Pierce who phrased it the holiest place in Ireland, and we believe that couldn't be under no better care than Peter. Mr. Carter, Shatamid, agus Conamid, Aran na Bia.
Right, folks, I think that concludes the end of the commemoration today. So from Bodenstown here, good afternoon, good luck, and God bless.